The Ukrainian capital Kyiv is still frequently hit by Russian attacks. So when I heard that activists want to hold a pride parade this year, I thought, is this really the time to hold an event like this? And is it worth the risk? I've been talking to organizers and members of the queer community to find out what it's like to hold pride in a war zone. But in my research, I came across something I didn't expect. The Russian invasion, in a very twisted way, actually helped the fight for queer rights in Ukraine. This is how it happened. And if you want to find out what pride in a country at war might look like, stay with me to the end of the video. What is going on? Pride in Ukraine has had a short and difficult history marred by violence. An attempt to organize a parade in 2012 had to be aborted after waves of vicious threats, which led to Kyiv police warning they couldn't keep demonstrators safe. The first actual pride parade in the country happened in 2013. It was small with only 100 participants, but attracted 5 times as many counter-protesters. Since then, the parade has grown consistently, but the counter-protests and the violence never stopped. Year after year, thousands of police officers had to protect the parade to ensure that demonstrators would not be attacked by people with far-right ideas. So, not exactly an easy road. And that is even though same-sex relations have been technically legal for over 30 years. Many experts and individuals I spoke to identified 2 main reasons for the rampant homophobia in their country, among others. One is the Orthodox Church. The Ukrainian Orthodox Church promotes highly conservative values and has traditionally had a lot of influence in the country. Just in 2019, a then 27-year-old Orthodox cleric told people to crush participants of Kyiv Pride. But it's not only the church that has been fueling anti-LGBTQ ideas. As late as the 2000s, it was common for politicians to make openly homophobic statements that were quickly spread by the press. Why is this important right now? Today, the situation is a little bit different. My colleague in Kyiv went to ask people in the street, what do you think about LGBTQ issues? Do you think that improving queer rights is important in Ukraine right now?
Певно, люди кохають, вони нікого не турбують.
Я думаю, треба їх захищати, і було б непогано, якби у нас були узаконені одностатеві браки.
І, можливо, Україна, якщо хоче вступати до Європи, тоді їй потрібно також переймати ці цінності.
Особисте життя людини має лишатись лише особисто у неї.
Okay, that sounds more like apathy to me. Though we should bear in mind that views in the capital city might be more relaxed than in more rural areas. Nevertheless, things in Ukraine are changing. A study by the National Democratic Institute in the US showed that in 2019, only 29% of Ukrainians thought LGBTQ people deserve equal rights. By 2023, it was 72%. That's now above the EU average of 69%. How did this massive shift happen? Now, this is where it gets interesting. Initially, I thought the main reason was geopolitics. Ukrainian public opinion of Russia has soured, while Ukrainians feel significantly closer to EU values than before the war. So, Ukrainians want to reject the extreme homophobic propaganda from Putin and the Russian church. But then, I found Victor. He's an ex-soldier and part of the queer community. I contacted him because he runs an organization for LGBTQ soldiers that is part of Kyiv Pride. Remember when I said in the beginning of this video that war in the Ukraine might have helped the fight for queer rights? That is because the war has brought up a very specific issue: LGBTQ fighters.
I fought for this country and, I deserve equal rights with everybody. We are demanding to adopt a law of civil partnerships. At least.
There are many LGBTQ fighters out defending Ukraine. Yet, there is no form of same-sex marriage or civil partnership possible in the country. So if your same-sex partner is wounded or killed on the front line, you have nothing. You can't be involved in any medical or burial decisions, you won't get compensation, and the state won't even tell you what has happened to your partner. Victor knows what it is like to suffer homophobia while risking his life for his country. The church awarded him a medal for his service on the front lines, but they took it away when they found out he was gay. But then something big happened. Other soldiers who had received the award started giving it back as a protest. And Victor had started a movement of LGBTQ people coming out in the military. Since the beginning of the full-scale war, many soldiers have publicly come out on social media, and this has made queer people in Ukraine so much more visible. And Ukrainians appear to have been touched by the openness and feel grateful for their service. But the government seems to be ignoring the issue.
Everybody are trying to keep us silent, to keep us comfortable. Yeah, just please be silent. Please be useful. It really brings a big frustration into our lives.
So, what now? LGBTQ soldiers have put a huge topic on the agenda, legal equality. And this leads me to this year's Pride.
We are sure Kyjev needs their own march, and Kyiv Pride should be in Kyjev.
That is Anna. She's one of the main organizers of Kyjev Pride 2024.
We can be sure when this war will finish, we should show that Ukraine is democracy and Ukrainian LGBT community strong.
She told me that the organization of the event is a nightmare. Currently in Ukraine, outdoor demonstrations are hugely restricted due to the risk of attacks by Russia. When we first talked to Anna, she wanted to have the march in the metro, but the city council has now said it's not safe because that would put critical infrastructure at risk. The current plan? Pride should happen, but the location is secret. The organizers will only send the meeting point to registered participants on private channels, not on social media. It should happen outside, but near a metro, so participants can shelter if there's an air raid. Organizing a pride parade in a war-torn country is tough and risky. And even more so in a country where queer issues have only recently come to public attention. But I've got to say, the courage and stamina of the people I talked to for this video really touched me. And to my question from the very beginning of this video of whether during wartime is the right time for a pride parade, let's hear from queer people living in Ukraine.
Я вважаю, що потрібні, тому що я просто розуміла, в будь-який момент може залетіти ракета. Наприклад, чого я почала свій перехід теж.
Це також говорить про те, що такі люди, як ми, вони існують, вони заслуговують на такі ж права, як і звичайні гетеросексуальні.
ЛГБТ-спільнота в принципі уязвима, то зараз під час війни, а от, наприклад, трансгендери не можуть отримати ліки, тому що перестали ці поставки робитися.
Нам нічого не потрібно, просто щоб ми жили нормально і нормальне було до нас відношення.
What's your view? Should Pride happen despite the war? And would you go?